Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Crossing the Streams. I am your host, Eric Rodriguez, aka Nerd Chronic, back again with another big show, another long-range show, honestly, possibly in terms of time, longer and bigger than any of the ones we've done so far. It is Squid Game today. One of the shows that has launched 100 channels when it came out a few years ago during the pandemic boom of the reaction space. But now we're here to talk about the series finale. The show is finally finished. So I've gathered a good roundtable of people to go over it. Definitely people who are new to the space, some people experience more with the format, with the genre, some people new to it. So we have a lot of good voices today. I'm going to jump right into our guest introductions. Up first from her channel, Abby Jane. It is Abby today. Thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me. Like I said, I've not really been able to talk about Squid Game with anyone. Like nobody that I know has really watched the last season. So when I watched it, I was like, I need to talk to somebody about this, and I have no one to talk to about it. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, definitely helps to have a group of people like this for that.
Yeah.
And next up, we have returning from our Severance discussion is Adam from FWCI. Adam, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much. 006 should have won. See, we'll get to it.
Yeah, that was your call out. I remember that. And next up, returning thrice, but now joined by his cohorts, is Rob from Real Time, joined by Zuff and Bryce. The whole trio here today. Guys, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having us, Eric. Really appreciate it. It's always fun to be on here. Excited to have the trio here for this one.
Yeah. I knew, and I wanted to have you guys on all together for something. I knew this was probably going to be it because you have, reacted to a number of K-dramas on the channel, so you're pretty well informed about, elements of the show. You mentioned missing out on the series when it started with your channel, so it's good to come back and redeem yourself in that regard. But speaking of K-dramas, we have what I describe as possibly the most experienced and well-rounded K-drama channel on YouTube. It is Jeff and Tobz from Core 4 VT Reacts. Guys, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us. We're excited to talk about Squid Game, so thank you.
Yeah, always excited to talk to you guys about anything, honestly. And you guys came on for our Rush Hour quiz, Rush Hour 2 quiz that we did a little while ago. That's going to be coming out on the channel soon. It's on our Patreon now, so go check out our Patreon if you want to see that. And also Vampire Diaries, it's Real Time. They also did their own Vampire Diaries quiz on there too, so that's also on our Patreon, which will be coming out soon. But guys, back to today, Squid Game. Well, we have a lot to go over. Again, obviously, I want to go over what happened in the finale and the last season, everyone's thoughts on that. But I want to start at the beginning with season 1, because season 1 played such a pivotal role in the evolution of the reaction space the past few years, and the evolution of TV and streaming the past few years as well, because it was a huge hit like a storm when it came out. I think everyone was obviously needed something to preoccupy themselves during the pandemic and watch a new show, and it came and it hit like wildfire for everyone who was stuck at home, and it became such a viral sensation that it opened the doors for more K-drama reactions. I think, as Jeff and Tobz will attest to with their experience with it. And it's such an important series, I think, for just how people develop their channels and how people found new shows because of it. So I want to go over everyone's sort of initial thoughts with season 1, whether you had it on your channel or not, just like when you found it and what it was like for you. So I guess we'll start with Abby. Abby, what was your sort of initial experience with Squid Game season 1? I think it was prior to your time with the channel, but what was it like just finding it on your own?
Well, I watched it when all the hype had kind of died down, because at the time everybody was talking about it, and just kind of like out of spite, I was like, I'm not going to watch this. And then I finally did, and I was like, wow, like to me, the quality of it was like when you watch like something like Game of Thrones, like the first season, and you're just like, oh, this is like a TV show that's on a whole nother level. Like it's different from everything else. Yeah. And it was brutal. And I think because it was the first season, like the second and third season for me, it didn't have that, because I think the first season, everything was new. And it was just like, I remember you just feeling so tense the whole time you're watching it, and you're scared about like, what's the next game going to be? And you become so attached to these characters in such a short amount of time, when at first, like with Gihun and that, you kind of like judge them a little bit, and then you become so attached to them by the end. And I mean, the Marvel game, for example, that one was like, I think one of the best episodes of anything I've ever watched. That season and that episode, I don't think they could have done it any better than they did. I mean, the quality of everything was amazing. And it's like, I couldn't think of a single flaw when I was watching it. It's like everything to me in the first season was just perfect.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you mentioned the Marvel game. Obviously, that's such a pivotal episode of the first season. I think that's what sort of put the season over for everyone in terms of just like, this is something really special. Obviously, something really, traumatic for us to sit through. If you watch like one of the J2L reactions or something, compilations, you'll see that's where everyone sort of really loses it. And so it's a big moment in the show. Yeah, it was such an important series because, like you mentioned, when it came out, I think people didn't understand, what was sort of really going on with it at first. Again, it was ushered in a new wave of K-drama fans. And I kind of want to get into that with our, again, aforementioned K-pop experts here now with Jeff and Tobz. Guys, I think you're one of the more senior channels here because you had an opportunity to react to it. And I want to hear from each of you. What was that like just getting into it and finding it and sort of what that did for you getting into the K-drama scene in general?
So when we first started the channel, we started reacting to, I think it was like Invincible, it was Marvel TV shows, and then we got into that a little bit, and then Squid Game came out, and that's around the time where we first started our channel. It was going crazy, the hype was there, so we ended up watching it, and then we ended up loving season 1, and then as soon as it ended, we got a lot of recommendations in the comments. I mean, if you look at our comments, I think it has like maybe over like 500 comments there. People were like, oh, if you really like Squid Game, you should really react to this. If you guys are starting to get into K-dramas, you should react to that. So we listened to the comments and the recommendations, and then we reacted to the next show, and then we really loved that. And then more comments came in, and then it just kept going and going and going until we eventually fell into that K-drama rabbit hole. About 2-3 years, we're back with season 2. And it just kind of became a full circle moment with Squid Game. And Squid Game is the very first K-drama. Squid Game is very special to us because it's the very first K-drama that we reacted to. So
I think we spoke about it earlier. We never planned for that to be our niche. We never planned for that to be like our go-to like thing.
Right.
And it's funny because to echo what Avi said, that Marvel episode, it's crazy when you really think like basics. They made a episode about marbles entertaining enough for so many people to be so invested in one episode.
Exactly.
And they do it with every episode. Every game is so like simple, but you're at the edge of your seats watching and anticipating what's going to happen. And I think that was the key for the show. I think they did so well. They were able to have people super invested, and that's initially what happened to us. I think maybe our reaction made a lot of the Korean fan base watch us and think, I'd love to see them react to this show.
Yeah.
And then that show. And it's crazy because now we're watching shows that are like not even action. They're just love, romance shows. And like, that's nowhere where we thought we were going to be. So it's like you said, full circle. It's crazy how that works.
Yeah. We never planned in the beginning, we never planned to react to K-dramas. Like we didn't know about this K-drama community. It just happened.
And now we love K-pop music. So like I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you guys have now pivoted where the main channel you started with, like you said, with Invincible and other things like that, is now primarily K-drama, and you made a second channel to get back to the other shows that you were trying to cover, because like now your audience is totally K-drama on that one. So interesting how that developed.
Right.
Yeah, and Adam, likewise, again, like just getting into season 1. I believe that was a while back before maybe you had the channel. And so what was that like getting into it just again for yourself?
Yeah, I've been doing the channel for about a year, and I think it was either Squid Game or Marvel's What If was the first TV show that I actually reacted to an entire series of it.
Yeah.
I picked a doozy as well with with both of them, and I just found the very every emotion that first series tried to tell me just came through loud and clear. Like, I cried for Ali. I was furious at Sangwoo. I was loving Gi-hun. Like, I felt so much sympathy for the old man, and then I got betrayed by him at the end. It was just every single beat of that series just landed for me. And at the time, it was just my first look into, all right, what's it like to react to a TV show? Let's give this a crack. I'd just been doing short little comedy videos up until that point. And it went great. The views on it did, well and truly above what I was expecting them to. And it just gave me a real good idea for what, Korean entertainment can be like, meeting all these new actors that are playing such strong characters. It blew me away. And I was immediately ready for more.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned the actors specifically. I think it's really special once you start getting into more of the shows that you can start picking up on, like, oh, the actors coming in, or like, stars in their own right, in obviously the Korean space. And like, you can pick up like even just cameos of like someone showing up, and revealing who they are. And you're like, oh my God, that's from this show, that show, so on. Again, guys from Real Time, Rob, Zuff, and Bryce, you guys also have, stepped into the K-drama, genre pretty heavily at this point in your time with the channel. You've actually seen a number of them, so you have some experience with that, understanding who's who, seeing some people cross over. I guess starting with the show, I remember in our interview you mentioned that you had just missed out on it for the channel. Like, that was something that had came on. You started the channel just after, so you kind of missed the wave of watching it for the channel. But what was it like sort of finding it on your own, at least just as a group?
Yeah, I feel like Squid Game season 1 was one of those like, where were you moments. Like, it's just like, it was like nothing I've ever seen before. I saw it right when it came out because of people talking about it. And I don't know, there's just so much violence that I'm not, like, the first game, Red Light, Green Light, when they just start mowing people down, I was like, what am I watching? Like, I'm not used to this. I think my parents tried to watch it and they couldn't after that. They're like, we can't watch this. Like, it was just so gory and violent, and it just set the tone right there. You're like, wow, I'm watching something different right now. And it was my first K-drama as well. I honestly wasn't familiar with K-dramas at all when I first watched it. And I'm sure a lot of people, their first K-drama is Squid Game as well, just because of how popular it was. But that, I think I talked about it in our Reactorverse interview, but literally I didn't know about K-dramas, and I also didn't know about like reactions as well, like show and movie reactions. I grew up on music reactions. Like, I'd always watch a new album or stuff, like single reactions. And after watching Squid Game, I'm like, I wonder if anyone watches this on YouTube. And I looked it up and I'm like, wow, this is a whole different world. And I got obsessed with it. So I think we've talked about in our podcast that I think that's the one show we wish we could like erase and go back and watch on camera, just because anyone that watches our channel, like, we're pretty emotional sometimes. Like, we get into it, and man, I was sobbing at a lot of those episodes. The marble game, it was just such a cool experience, and it definitely did open up my world and our world to K-dramas in general. And I'm so happy we got to watch so many good K-dramas on our channel as well. We have a couple behind us, like The Glory and Extraordinary Attorney Woo, but we've watched probably like 20, 25 K-dramas at this point, and it's just such a great genre of television. And I think Squid Game definitely introduced that for us and kind of like paved the way for a lot of those shows, I want to say too.
Well, it feels like forever ago since the first season of Squid Game. I can't even remember what I was doing, like how I even started. I definitely was one of those people who saw all the hype around it and just like jumped onto it. But yeah, it was the first K-drama for me too. I think it's the first live action thing that I've watched with subtitles too. So like, I was going fresh into this new thing. And as soon as Red Light, Green Light came around, I mean, I'm a big fan of Hunger Games. Like, it's just one of my favorite things to watch. And as soon as everyone started getting killed, I just thought about the Hunger Games, and I was so locked in. I'm like, I just want more of these games. it was so cool. I was so hooked. In all the games, I think the first season was definitely my favorite. And honestly think that first game in the first season it was so iconic, and it set the stone, and I just felt like that was it. I loved it. And yeah, just the first season was awesome. The Squid Game was awesome. And I'm glad we get to talk about it here today.
It was also my first K-drama like these guys. I was kind of one of the people that it came out and everyone was talking about it for like a week. I remember Zuff specifically. He watched it before me and he was telling me about it. Like, you got to watch this. You got to watch this. And I was like, nah, no, I don't want to. It's too popular. But then whenever I finally came around, and it didn't take too long to be convinced, but I finally was. I think I watched it in a day. Like, I just watched all of it at once, and it was so good. I really loved the way that it looked. Like, I remember, I have a core memory of the first time that they walk up the steps like into the game, and it's like the big pink room, and it just looks like this crazy place, and being like, what the hell is going on right now? Like, I don't know what I'm about to get into. But also just like Bryce said, it is one of those like, where were you moments? Like, there was so much cultural impact when this show came out. Like, everyone was talking about it. I remember, like, I think Halloween was like a month or two later, and that was like, you just couldn't go anywhere or go on social media without seeing Squid Game costumes. Like, it was the thing to do at the time. But like we have also talked about already, we didn't get the chance to watch her on the channel. It's a bummer. But I think it was really cool that we watched that before the channel. And then, like Bryce said, we watched 20 something K-dramas in between season 1 and season 2 of Squid Game. So whenever we got to, react to season 2 after all those years, it was just a whole different experience. And I just thought that was really, really cool to be able to kind of have those two different perspectives with the show. And yeah, I agree with Zuff. I think season 1 was probably my favorite. I think the shock factor and the shock value probably has a lot to do with that. Just, seeing things I would have never have predicted. And then kind of in the later seasons, you have an idea of what's coming. You can kind of gauge and predict what they might do. But that first season, man, it was every episode. Just, you have no idea what's coming next. No one is safe. Like, it was a really cool experience back then, and super pumped to keep talking about it.
It's I think we mentioned a few times just how the shock factor played a major role in everyone sort of getting into it. Obviously, when it came out, there was a lot of comparisons to things like the Hunger Games, Battle Royale, stuff like that, just like the survival elimination type element. And that, I think, helped latch people onto it just because the stakes were real, and it was easy, and a really easy concept to sort of deliver and drive people through for 8 episodes or so. And the stress factor of it, as Abby and Lafi mentioned, was just a huge element. My partner had to finish it with me, had a really hard time getting through it, just because every episode she's like, I don't think I could do this. Like, when they're playing like the 6-legged race or something, and someone fails a game, she's like, I can't do this. I can't watch this right now. Like, it's stressing me out too much. But it's such a fun show to get into. And as you guys mentioned, being able to dive into more K-drama series in between season 1 and 2 is very special. I was able to watch another great show, Queen of Tears, in between season 1 and 2, which is a really fantastic show, and that helped me introduce me to the actor that plays I forgot his name, but Hyunju in this series, and he's really great. And then in between season 2 and 3, I watched another show called Moving, and then an actor from that showed up in this as well. So again, seeing that sort of connectivity is really fun. Spotting actors that from other stuff it makes the whole experience more enjoyable. But yeah, getting into 3 years later with season 2 and just everyone coming back to it. Obviously, everyone's channels changed, the world's changed, the reaction space has changed. So when it was coming back, it was like everyone was really, really hyped about it. And again, some of that hype applies to your expectations, what you're hoping to see, what you're eager to see. And I think it's safe to say that this season 2 and 3 were a little bit more divisive than season 1 was, and just in terms of people, the appreciation of it and like what they thought about it. We could definitely get into any sort of criticisms about it, but I think everyone here has a sort of general, pretty, strong love of what they did in the seasons, and I think it's I'm eager to hear what your guys' thoughts are on how that played out. I'm gonna jump straight back down to Jeff and Tobz real quick again, guys. Coming back from season 1, being such a pivotal moment in your channel, and now coming back to season 2 after you've gone through so many K-dramas and like an evolution of the channel, what's it like getting back into that show, and what was it like getting into the season itself? What did you think of how they came back and the new elements, like the new characters, the new games, and so on?
I personally was a bigger fan of the second part of the season than Toby was. Maybe it felt a little bit nostalgic coming back to that like universe and story, and we knew the characters, we knew, like as you said, a lot of the actors that we knew or have seen in other projects reappearing. I think we have it in every like K-drama that we ever watch, is like that Leonardo DiCaprio moment where he's like pointing at the TV and he's like Yeah. It's like it happens every time. It's absolutely crazy how we see there's no episode, there's no movie or show that we've ever watched that doesn't have an actor or actress from a different project that we've seen previously. So,
Exactly.
It felt really good for Squid Game because there was like maybe like 5 or 6 different people that we had seen in different projects. Yeah. And I know for me, I was super hooked by that. And then, like I said, that nostalgic feeling coming back to that universe. I think they really stepped up their games. Again, I said it earlier with the marbles conversation, but when you're able to really make a simple game so interesting and just crazy, I think the show is doing a really good job.
So I felt kind of different towards the end of season 2, the beginning of season 3, but coming back into Squid Game at the time for season 2, full circle moment. We started off with season 1 for the channel, and then we went to season 2. I liked how, to piggyback off what Jeff said, all the characters that came into season 2, we've seen them in a different show, so it was really exciting to see them. I think at the point in time, I was just really happy to okay, after watching episode 1, we have a plan. This is what the games are. Let's execute that plan. We're going back to the games. Super hyped for that, and then chaos happened. And pretty much, yeah, exactly.
Nothing that they planned would happen. Like he got into the games, and then the detective never saw him ever again after that.
Yeah,
that was the last time that they saw each other. It's kind of frustrating.
Yeah,
makes sense. It's I feel like this show is it's unrealistic but realistic at the end of the day. You put these people in these situations, and you always expect something different to happen, but realistically, the detective it would make sense why he never took him forever to get to that island.
Right. But as far as season 2 goes, I liked it. But later, as we talk about season 3, I'll probably add my points as to why I feel differently between season 2 and season 3. But overall, what Jeff said, I like season 2. Just super happy to get back into the games and tear everything down.
Yeah, it's I think season 2 for me, one of the stronger aspects of it from season 1 is I actually really liked the supporting cast a lot more. Not that I didn't like the cast from season 1, but I thought there were so many new characters I really latched onto in season 2. I think they did a really good job fleshing out a lot of the characters in season 2, where they have really distinct personality traits and really distinct arcs that you're sort of rooting for and getting invested in. Abby, how did you feel getting into the second season for the series?
I went in with high expectations, obviously, because season 1 was amazing. And while I don't think it had the same quality as the first season, I still really loved it. I think it was really fun. And I think out of the 3, it was the funnest season, because it's almost like you had a bit of hope. Because okay, so far everyone's still alive. There's not been a major death. the detective might come and save everyone, something might happen, you know. So you're kind of like filled with hope that it's like maybe everyone won't die, and it just felt a bit upbeat. And like you said, I liked the characters more in the second season than I did in the first season. I think even though I feel like there's more of them, but they just felt more, I don't know, like we got to know most of them a bit better, and they were all pretty likable. I mean, from the start, there were some characters that I love this person already, you know? And I had a lot of fun. Like, I could just describe it. It was just fun. It was fun to watch. I was like happy watching it, even though people were dying, but it was like, it was fun. And then, yeah, the last episode was a bit like, but other than that, it was great.
Yeah, it's the last, like you said, giving us hope. I think the last episode is the one that that departs from the games, obviously in the format like so harshly because it's the the riot, the revolution. But I think it's also the one that hooks people in because it's like now we're really in uncharted territory where we don't know where we're going to go. Like, will they be able to win? Like, we know it's the finale. Obviously, I don't think they're going to wrap this up with another season coming, but like it's put everyone on edge of like how this might resolve. Adam, I guess what were your thoughts, getting into season 2 in general, but also specifically on that finale and like, where you kind of, or what you're feeling about, how it was looking by the time they were fighting back with the guns in the shootout?
Yeah, it was a different, I guess, mood for the show to suddenly be embroiled in this like very bullety shootout that kind of, it didn't feel like it was, like it makes sense that this would happen because there's that many guns around, but it just seems so sort of I don't know, out of character for the show to just kind of degenerate into a very gaudy shootout with a lot of pyro and a lot of like activity going on. So that particular part was I understand it more afterwards, but at the time it was a little bit of a shock that it just went on for so long. And the cliffhanger for series 2, I'd say infuriated me a little bit. I didn't realize it was the final episode, so I was in that boat of like, oh, what's going to happen next? And then I'm getting an ad for whatever other show is on Netflix. I'm like, hang on a second. So I didn't really have the greatest time with the finale, but going into season 2, it was, I was really excited for it. I love the whole aesthetic of Squid Game and the story that they told and the world that they set up. And I persisted with series 2, and then I got to the point of series 3 where I'm like, all right, I might as well just do this because we're 6 episodes away from finishing this story. But it definitely dropped off after series 1 from me. But that doesn't mean that I don't think that all of the elements that we had from series 1 that I enjoyed so much with the games and the different characters and betrayals and all that, they were able to completely keep that going throughout series 2 and 3. It just didn't have the satisfying payoffs.
Right. Yeah. That's a big part of it. Is like, yeah, again, a great setup, great elements, like you mentioned, to work with. Just how those are executed, like no much pun intended, just like, it makes a big, impact on like, your overall enjoyment of the series. Like we mentioned, the characters themselves, I really love the supporting cast. Rob, you had a very, distinct love for Hyunju. That was, yes, I think, one of your favorite characters. That became my favorite character of the series. And she was just a fantastic addition to the show because she's such an underdog, but she's also so capable. And I think it really, makes you invested in like, what she can do with, the cast around her, carrying everyone on her back for most of the show. So I want to hear your thoughts on, again, getting season 2, but the characters specifically, not just Hyunju, but everyone else that we got to know and love over season 2.
Yeah, I totally agree with your opinion of just like the supporting cast in season 2 is so good. Like, I really liked Se-byuk and Ali in season 1. I thought they were great, but I feel like there's just so many more characters in season 2 that they were a lot more fleshed out or just more entertaining. Like, even the bad guys, like we got Thanos in season 2, and that was just incredible. Like, he was an awful guy, but I mean, just every time he popped up on the screen, I was seated. I loved it. And specifically Hyunju, I saw her as like the mom of the group by the end. Like, she literally was just taking care of everybody basically on her own. And it does help that we were familiar with that actor from The Glory. I was really excited to see him in this role when they announced the cast, because he was absolutely terrifying in that show. And this is such a different character, and to see like the range that actor has, I thought was really, really impressive. I liked season 2 as a whole. I thought it was very strong. The games were really, really good. I really liked the entire storyline of like the front man being in the game and him like being best friends with 456. I'm forgetting his name right now. Gi-hoon. Yeah, and just the betrayal that came with that, because you know he played the games with Il-nam in the first season, and he got betrayed then, and then literally it happened to him again in the next season. So I can't even imagine the trauma and the trust issues that came from that. But at the end of season 2, I know we were talking about like the shootout. It definitely felt so different from the rest of the show, but I personally did like it, like this revolution style thing going on within the games, because I mean, I'd be lying if I said that throughout the show I hadn't thought like, why don't they just take one of the guns and just shoot the guards? Like like the intrusive thoughts were definitely there. I'd thought that before. And to see them actually do it was pretty satisfying. But the only thing that I really didn't like about season 2, and it's kind of a complaint about season 3, was that it feels like a season 2A and a season 2B instead of 2 separate seasons. But I'll talk more about that in season 3 or when we get to season 3. But whenever season 2 came out and it was just season 1 and season 2, I thought season 2 was really strong, and I really liked it a lot.
Absolutely, yeah. And Bryce and Zuff, I would like to hear your guys' thoughts as well. I'm getting into the characters, but also the games, as Rob mentioned, like just the what did you think of like the new games, like, you know, the dynamics of those?
Yeah, I thought the games are awesome. Obviously, season 2 was special for us because it was the introduction to Squid Game to our channel. So it was just super cool getting to watch Squid Game on the channel. Like, we didn't know what was going to happen, like with the viewership and everything. Obviously, we watched K-dramas before, and we knew several actors in the show too. But yeah, the games were awesome. I believe it started off with red light, green light again. So I was excited. I was so pumped about that in the first season. So I was super pumped about it in the second. But this time, Gi-hoon like kind of controlled everyone in the game. That was a cool.
I've played these games before.
And I forget her name, but we got to see the perspective of the girl who was sniping the people in the game too, which was cool. But yeah, the games were awesome. I love the what was it, the 3-legged race game where
oh yeah,
they had like, there was just a bunch of games within the game.
They did that one where you have to like flip everything and grab it all in the air. That was crazy.
Yeah, I've seen a number of reactions to that. I still can't really wrap my mind around how that's supposed to work.
Yeah. And it's just funny to see some of the teammates within the teams were just screwing up and losing it for them. So I love the characters too. Hyunju personally was one of my favorites, and like Rob said, from seeing him in The Glory just made it so much more cool in Squid Game. And yeah, I agree. The Squid Game like season A, B thing, it kind of threw me off too. It felt like when we started season 3, it's like, oh yeah, they just filmed this back to back with the first season. But overall, I did like season 2.
Yeah, I like season 2 as well. My ranking does go 1, 2, 3 for reasons we'll get into, I'm sure. But I just, like we said like 100 times, but we didn't get to watch the first one on our channel. So just seeing the nostalgic music when everyone enters the games and like meeting all the characters is just always so much fun. I was so confused how they were going to make it happen, because I'm like we talked about just now in season 1, like it caught you by surprise. You didn't know what to expect. Then it's like, okay, Gi-hoon's going to get back into the game somehow, which is weird. And then he's going to play, but he obviously has the knowledge of what's happening. So how is he going to go about this? Is he going to stay quiet or be vocal? And obviously he was very vocal, but no one really believed him at first until it was too late for half of them. So that was interesting to see. But it was cool seeing the red light, green light back. I thought the carousel game was pretty fun too. A lot of betrayal in that game. I remember the one girl died, and with was it Sammy, I believe, Minsu's friend.
Yeah.
So that was one of the bigger first deaths in season 2. But yeah, it was just it just always is a cool feeling. Like I don't know, like the whole aesthetic and vibe of Squid Game. It just doesn't feel like any other show, and I'm not gonna complain watching it. It's just always fun to me, and yeah, meeting a lot of the side characters was awesome. And like Zuff just mentioned, I thought even though like it didn't really lead to too much this season or season 2, or 2 and 3, but one of the cooler things to me was meeting Noel and like getting that POV of the workers. And even though it was just one of them, it's like this girl just works at an amusement park in like the summer or whatever, and then they just pull her. Because I was always like so confused. I'm like, I know there was a reveal in season 1. It was like, I think Gi-hun pulled the mask. It's like, you're just a kid. And it's like, how did they find these people? But yeah, that was really cool to me. I know her whole mission was with the man she worked with the sick daughter. But I just thought that was cool seeing the behind the scenes of the employees.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, the machinations of the games, I think, is something that we peel back a little bit in season 2, and we even opened the first 2 episodes with the recruiter, and getting to get the Russian roulette game with him, and see a little bit behind the scenes, like how this stuff develops. Like he was a worker there, and then like sort of got promoted to like the recruiter, and yeah, getting into more of the show and more of like the lore behind it, I think was really fun. Part of like what worked for me personally was the lived-in experience, like through Gi-hun, and like seeing his sort of like comprehension of the games, and like us being on the same level as him, and so like there's a novelty there to like seeing people catch up to speed with him and us in a way of like, oh, you guys don't even know what's going on. And then like by game 2 they threw us for a loop with the new games, and then he's sort of shit out of luck. But then in hand with that, I think one of the elements that a lot of people did have a problem with was the subplot of the detective, like fudding around on the boat for a majority of the season, and I think by episode 3, 4, maybe, I think everyone was pretty clearly on the boat. No pun intended. With the guy, the captain guiding him was a mole, and so everyone was just like sort of like screaming at their screen of just like like, please figure this out already, like realize like this guy is like a traitor, and so we can like get you somewhere. And that's a big frustration I think that people had with the show, and even in season 1, I think that was also something that people felt was like a little bit on the weaker side, but like was a little more forgiving about, was the detective stuff. Again, the novelty of the show is so ingrained in like the games and the aesthetic and like the vibe of like the survival aspect. And so the detective stuff and the organ harvesting stuff was a little on the weaker side for some people in season 1. So they brought that back for this one. And I don't know if they improved it as much. I think the organ harvesting subplot got a little more interesting with the worker being involved. So you get a little bit more of like, that's split up between the detective story and everything. So there's a little bit more of an investment there. But yeah, I think it feels like there's almost like an obligation to include that stuff to develop like the larger stakes of like what could happen, but it's not as dynamic, and so that just drags it for a little bit of people. So that brings us into like season 3, and carrying that stuff over from season 2 and into the final season. Like I said earlier, the conclusion, the finale is pretty divisive. I've gone over a few reactions to it. I've written some thoughts on it. It's something that I think people felt frustrated with, maybe, or maybe not as excited about just the way it concluded. I will preface this by saying the creator obviously came out soon after the show ended saying that it wasn't the original ending that he had written years ago. He had originally written Gi-hun surviving and going on to be in the place where the front man is at the end and seeing Kate Blanchett playing the games, and that was just relay to him that he stopped one aspect of the games, but it still lives on worldwide, and so the story continues. But they changed it, and so I think that is definitely a talking point for a lot of people of how did that feel for them. So Adam, getting into season 3, and itself, again, carrying over from season 2 of the finale with the shootout and everything and the stakes that were set up. How did you feel getting into the final season? What did you think of, the stakes at that point, and the way we lost a handful of characters by the end? And how did you feel about the conclusion of the finale?
I was keen to get back into it when season 3 came out. I was, I felt like there was so much unresolved matters from series 2 that I was just dying to sort of like get back into. So I was excited for it. And all the way through until the last 20 minutes of that last episode, I was 100% on board with the show. There was some things in there that, it felt like filler. I feel like most of No Yule's storyline, it felt like it was a token guard story. Like, all right, we need to have a story with the guards. All right, we'll do this thing here. And they did a good job of making it seem a bit more interesting and giving her some depth and things like that. But it was a pretty inconsequential story, and Junho's story was pretty inconsequential. And a lot of the other stuff that we did in that series just really seemed to amount to nothing. It just all seemed to get washed away in that final 20 minutes. It's funny, the moment Gi-hun falls off Gi-hun falls off the cliff, the entire series fell off a cliff. Like everything just came to a screeching halt. But I still enjoyed 90% of series 3. I love the games, the characters. I mean, 100, how can we forget about him? And, let's not forget about 006, of course. But it was an incredibly strong show. And I think it's actually kind of remarkable how suddenly the show just took a big shit all over everything that it had been doing for the last 9 episodes or whatever.
Yeah. The frustration is definitely palpable, I think, for a lot of people. Again, it's a decision that either really sits with you, well, or doesn't. I think there's definitely some discussion to be had about why you might disagree with that, because the creator had been teeing us up for a while that I think it said by the time season 3 was airing that it's not going to have a happy ending. And so I want to imagine what he was intending with the ending and the decision he made to kill off Gi-hun, and what that thematically says about the show, and what he's aiming to relay to us. Abby, you expressed some similar frustrations with the ending, but you had some sort of different tiers of how you felt about it. What did you feel like getting into, again, season 3 itself? Some of the deaths that we had. Specifically for some of our fan favorites like Hyunju and others, and again with the choice around that decision to end it the way they did.
I enjoyed season 3, but there was definitely things that I was like, this feels rushed, or things have been changed last minute, because you can't tell me that their plan for the detective since season 1 was the storyline that they gave him. Like, that was frustrating. The deaths I wasn't too mad at, because to me it's like I said, at first I had a lot of hope, and at the start of my season 3 reaction I'm like, maybe we're predicting that everyone's going to die, so maybe a lot more people survive, and then by the hide and seek game I was like, no, that's not going to be the case. Yeah. But I wasn't mad at the deaths. The only one I was mad at was Daeho's, because I'm like, what happened to this character? Again, we know that he lied about being in the Marines, but we don't really get anything. That just felt quite rushed to me as well. And I don't love open endings either, because it was I know people oh no, well, it's realistic, they weren't going to take down the games, and I was like, yeah, I know that, but are the police investigating it? I mean, a whole island exploded, we don't know if they are. I mean, are the police in on it? There was just so many questions. And another thing that I didn't personally love about the final game was, I think in season 1, when you have Sang-woo and Gi-hun fighting, there was so much layers to Sang-woo's character. He was the main antagonist, but you still liked him because you could understand why he was doing what he was doing, and he was just playing the game, really. He wasn't an evil person. However, in season 3, the characters that are in the final game, most of them we don't even know. And they were just your stereotypical bullies and the suck-ups to the bullies and Gihun, and they were so desperate to kill this baby, which I think just got a bit repetitive as soon as the baby was born, that everyone was out against this baby. And it's like, yes, I understand that it's realistic, and it's realistic that basically an all-male, like, bullies and suck-ups would make it to the final round. But it's kind of like, it made me lose interest, because it's like Gihun was your stereotypical hero trying to save the baby, and then it was just like these bad guys that were so one-dimensional and were just annoying. Like I was so happy to see player 100 finally. Like I can't believe he lasted to the last episode, but it was just a bit like I was expecting a bit more from the last game, and for Gihun's death, like it made sense, and I respect why he did that, but it felt quite predictable. As soon as the game started and you saw the characters that you had, it's like, well, obviously Gihun and the baby, they're either both going to make it, or at least the baby's going to make it, because they're not going to go that dark in the show. So it kind of made it predictable, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, definitely. I think the last game particularly like is, like you said, something that lacks a bit of like kinetic energy, because we're not as connected to a handful of the characters that survived at that point. And the game itself sort of devolves into like just a sort of discussion game of just like, you know, how do we do this? Like, how do we like figure out to do this? Okay, let's like talk this out. Let's do this. Okay, now push them off. So it's not as like dynamic as, you know, again, the last game of season 1, the Squid Game, itself is like not a really super complicated game. It's just them stabbing each other, but there's an investment in it because of our emotional attachment to Sungwoo and to Gihun, and so there's something there that we're maybe lacking for the last one. It's funny. I actually, you know, at certain points in season 2 and 3, I thought that they might subvert expectations and kill Gihun off like pretty early, because like you would think like, oh, he'll make it through, he'll be the hero, and by the end, like he might get killed off early, and like so now we're kind of in uncharted territory. But by the time the baby showed up, yes, I think that's when it kind of like things start to fall in place, storytelling wise, of like, okay, we kind of see, you know, what the building blocks are of like how they might, you know, conclude this, which is him, what she set up in season 2, which is like the I forgot her name, the shaman, telling him that his reason for being there is related to the baby, and so there might be some conclusion to that. Guys, real time. Again, season 3 has a lot of elements that you alluded to that you know had ups and downs with, but the show itself, you know, getting into the stakes of, you know, where we're at with the characters, getting into, I guess, specifically hide and seek. As Abby mentioned, that's when things started to, you know, take a tone shift of like, okay, now we're starting to get into like the sort of, you know, decline of like things here. How did you feel about the show, you know, at that point and getting into the finale?
Yeah, I mean, I like the hide and seek game. I thought it was cool, all the doorways and just like the whole idea, like to reveal that, oh, you need every single like shape to get out. I thought that was pretty cool, but I don't know. I can't say I wasn't disappointed. Obviously, Hyunju, like I was so upset about her death. I mean, I think we all were. I think that might have been the saddest death to us that season, or in season 3. But I swear they killed, like, besides Gihun, every character I cared about in like that episode, and then the next episode, obviously the mother died too because of the result of her like kind of having to kill her son. So
and then 222 right after that, like literally right after that.
Yeah, and or is it 222 or 333?
I think isn't 333 crypto, bro?
Yeah,
and the 222
yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then she just had like a sprained ankle. I don't know. I was so disappointed. And I wanted to say I completely agree with what Abby said. Like when they came up that elevator for the Sky Squid Game, and I'm just looking, I'm like, who are these people? Like, I get it with the whole revolution scene. It was a lot of the people trying to leave the game that went out and died. So it kind of swayed the voters there. So there was a lot more blue. So they kind of had to continue playing the game. But yeah, I'm just like, they're just all just dickheads. Like they're just random dudes that I don't know. And don't even get me started on the crypto bro guy. Like, I'm like, seriously, dude? Like for a second, I kind of believed him when he was on like the bad guy side. And then he helped Gihun for a sec. And I'm like, okay, maybe, I mean, it's your child. So maybe you'll be a human, and even if like you make it to the end and Gihun sacrifices himself on the last one, but
no, he wanted to throw the baby off. Like, really, dude? I don't know. I get it's like I can't put myself in that situation, but just like, yeah, season 1, I just feel like the villains are so much better. Even like, I don't know, even I can't remember his name, but like the gangster, the villain that fell off during the bridge games, he was just like the definition of a villain. There was no good about him. He wasn't trying to hide anything. He wasn't trying to be good. He was just a typical horrible guy, and I didn't like him, but I respected that about him. But just the crypto guy, like, really, dude? I hated him so much. I was happy to see him die, but yeah, obviously at the end, it's not like Gi-hoon's gonna throw the baby off. We know Gi-hoon, he's gonna sacrifice himself. I hate it he had to go out like that, but if it's just him and the baby, there's no world where he just has this whole build up and he's just like throws, you know what I mean? Like, it's just not gonna happen. So that was one of my gripes with the season as well. I'm just like, I'm not that invested in these characters, and it's pretty obvious that, yeah, Gi-hoon is going to either make it or make it to the end.
Yeah, I definitely agree with a lot of those points. And Bryce and Zuff, Rob and Zuff, I want to hear you guys' thoughts as well. But one thing I wanted to mention that just came to mind was that there were a handful of things in the season 3 to get to certain points that did feel like maybe a tiny bit contrived. It was, I think one thing was Gi-hoon trying to go after Daeho. I think that seemed like tiny bit out of character, that he would be so angry at him for getting scared and leaving everyone behind on the ammo. It feels like a writing contrivance to like make him that angry, to give him like an arc to like sully his hands and kill someone for the game. Because I like really liked Daeho. I thought he was a really fun character. I caught on pretty on that he was lying. I think I knew pretty right away that this guy's definitely not a Marine. But yeah, I felt bad, in that scene where it's like, yeah, he was scared. Like, why don't, even if he brought the ammo, I don't know what that would have helped. Like in the shootout, they definitely had, especially just with the overwhelming numbers that they were dealing with. So there's a couple things like that in the final season where it's like, I don't know if I 100% buy the sort of logical reasoning of like why the characters might be doing this. And Rob and Zuff, yes, like to continue that. What were your thoughts on those aspects of the final season?
Well, I do have a bunch of gripes with season 3, but I did enjoy it. It's hard not to enjoy this battle royale type game where people are killing each other. It's very entertaining. But yeah, obviously the detective was it just wasn't a good storyline, I don't think. And I honestly enjoyed the little segment of the detective's friend breaking into the house more than the detective's story. I thought that was more interesting.
He did some actual detecting,
Yeah, he was doing something actually.
Yeah.
And then the detective storyline ended with him getting onto the island. Everyone was already evacuating. He just got to see his brother and yell his name, and the place exploded. So it was quite. It just felt like it led to nothing. I guess he did get the baby and some money there at the end, which is cool. But and also I thought the VIPs, like every time they were on the screen, it was just so cringe. And I wanted to see them die. They sort of just disappeared. But yeah, they were really bad.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping they would get caught up in the explosion or something.
Yeah, I wanted to see them die on screen.
So are the VIPs like a replacement for Netflix viewers? Is that who they're supposed to represent in this show?
I think that's a fair analogy. I think that's okay. Representing like the capitalistic view of like, oh, you're enjoying like the these grotesque games of people killing each other for your entertainment. Yeah, I could see that. But I think that gets a little muddled with like the overall aspect of like larger problems with capitalism that they're trying to convey with the series themes.
Like I said before, I did like season 2. I feel like when I watched it the first time, it set up a lot of things, and I was like, okay, let them cook with these storylines. We'll see what happens in season 3. Like maybe Junho will get off the boat. He didn't, but yeah, the way that they kind of built up some of the storylines in season 2, and they just they just fell really short in season 3. Kind of puts like going back to season 2, it's just like, maybe I didn't like it as much as I did originally because of the way things ended up. But oh well. Season 3, I think definitely was the weakest. It's still good in my opinion. Like, it's an enjoyable watch. Definitely not a satisfying ending, but I think it's good enough. I think that honestly, like, some of the games I wasn't thrilled with. I thought hide and seek was really cool. I agree with what Bryce was saying. It felt like they killed every single character I killed about within 1.5 episodes. Like, it was just everyone was dead, and I was like, okay, well, who am I supposed to like now? And then they character assassinated Daeho, so it's like, okay, well, there's another one. And then I like Bryce said in season 2, I really like the potential of Noel's character, like this peek behind the scenes of the guards and what they do and everything. But then in season 3, she really didn't do a whole lot. Like, not what I expected. Like we were talking about, we wanted to see the VIPs die. I thought if anyone was going to do it, she was going to like find them and just like kill the shit out of them. That did not happen.
Yeah, and if not to cut you off, but I'm sure Jeff and Tobz, you guys watch My Name?
Yeah.
So yeah, when they revealed Choi Moo-jin's actor as like the what was his name, like the captain or something? Or, yeah,
he was basically the front man.
He's like my favorite K-drama villain of all time. I love him. So I was hoping for a little bit more with him. Like, he's such a great actor. And him and Noel did have a really good fight, and she kind of mowed him down there when he was midair. But like, I thought he was going to play a little bit larger of a role. Like that reaction, seeing him was like, I couldn't have been more excited. He's one of my favorite Korean actors, and I don't know. I wish they showed him more.
If you really think about it, if you remove his character from the show, it really does nothing. It doesn't. It doesn't change. It doesn't add anything to it. It doesn't really take away anything either. But it's like, it's kind of like maybe they just added him because of, because he's a big actor.
Yeah, definitely. Exactly.
Yeah,
But
you guys had sorry, Rob, I'll let you go. I just want to say, like, you guys had a really great reaction to his reveal, though.
We loved
it. Yeah.
But back to the games, like the hide and seek was good. They killed everybody, and it kind of pissed me off a little bit. But I think it might have been my least favorite game in the entire show. The jump rope game was just like, that just felt like a throwaway one, honestly, to me. Like, it happened so quick. I really was not entertained too much, but it just felt like a worse version of the bridge game from season 1. And obviously we talked about it. 222 died in that game. That I hated that because we had just lost like 3 other characters that we all cared about. So yeah, wasn't a fan of that. And then obviously Junho, his storyline just went really nowhere. Really disappointing. Like Zuff said, his friend did more detective work than Junho, honestly. Like, there was literally that scene where the captain, they're all like on the boat and they're looking at the map and everyone's like, I think they're in this area. And then the captain literally draws an X on it, goes, they're not. And everyone's like, oh, okay, let's not look there then. And Junho's just completely like agreeing with this. And I just felt crazy watching it. I'm like, is this really, like, did they just make him not smart this season? Like, what happened to this character? And yeah, I was fully expecting like this final showdown between the front man and his brother, like this storyline that one of the few storylines that has been there since the very beginning. Like, it's this overarching storyline from the start, and it just, nothing happened with it. And I was really disappointed with that, honestly. I feel like Junho had so much potential as a character, but was very misused in the second and third season. And then obviously the final game, I don't know, man. That did not hit for me. Thinking back to the first season, like, Gi-hoon is like facing off against his childhood best friend in the rain after seeing 454 other people die right in front of them. Like, it was this huge deal. And the finale was nothing even close to that. Like Abby said, and like Bryce said, just a bunch of nobodies in the end. Like it's Gi-hoon and then just literal like cartoon villains. Like just it was kind of ridiculous. Like I thought 333 was a decent villain by the end, but like only because what else were we left with? Like he had to be the only good one because everyone else kind of sucked. And I honestly did not expect his character to take the turn that it did. I always thought he was kind of shitty, but I didn't expect him to like, I'm going to kill my baby for money. Like I did not see that ever happening. But that's what they chose to do, I guess. But yeah, that final game just does not hold a candle to the final game in the first season. I didn't really have a huge problem with Gi-hoon dying personally. I kind of thought that might happen just because like, what does this guy have after this? Like he is a broken man. His family has moved on. Like his daughter has moved on from him. He really has nothing left. So I kind of did expect him to die by the end of the show. Wasn't necessarily a huge fan of the way he died, but oh well. I kind of would have rather, him went out taking down the front man or just taking down the VIPs or in the games in general. It is what it is, but it definitely felt like it fell short of what could have been. But I didn't love it, but I was fascinated by the what felt like a post-credit scene with like Kate Blanchett and everything. Like it was kind of weird, but it definitely, I think that, is it confirmed like David Fincher is developing a US adaptation or US version? So they're definitely teasing that. So whatever that ends up being, I'll be here for it. I'll be watching, but overall, season 3, not super satisfied with the way they ended the story, but it could have been worse, I guess.
Yeah, it's funny getting into that final game. As we mentioned, and the lack of sort of characters that we know in it. We did know Min Soo, and I kind of hoping he would have some sort of redemptive arc, in that game, that maybe he would step up somehow and like take out one or two of the guys and like sacrifice himself or something and add something to the story. But it was kind of, that also felt like something that they didn't know how to wrap up properly. So it was just him and his own sort of personal troubles with his ghosts and everything, and that doesn't really amount to much.
Yeah, he just started taking drugs and then just was going crazy. Like he just literally started tweaking.
Yeah. And then the final game, everyone started pushing each other off. The guy that they beat up and then injure to use as the lunchbox, as they call, to like take across, him throwing himself off out of spite, that also felt like a little bit of a contrivance of like, okay, now they're setting it up, so obviously it has to be between Gi-hoon and 333. And then when they started fighting, my girlfriend was watching, she was like, someone please just push the button first before you start fighting. Yeah. So at least this counts as something, otherwise we know where this is going to go to. So I see you, Tobz and Jeff, like you guys have a little bit of reaction there. So some similar frustrations, I think, getting into that final moment. But again, season 3 overall, we've talked about our criticisms, highs and lows. What did you maybe enjoy about it? But also, yes, what were your frustrations with it as well?
All the hype that they had from the season 2 finale to season 3, like they shouldn't have had a 6-month wait. I don't agree with that because all the momentum, all the buildup, all the hype that they had, kind of just got shot down at the beginning of season 3. So that kind of took a toll for me for season 3. If we're talking about the second half of the season finale for season 3, I 100% agree with everything that Abby said. I didn't care about the characters that were left. They had no depth to them, and I was just waiting for them to die. So I was at that point with the characters that were left, I was kind of just like mentally checked out. And then anything that I had left when Gi-hoon died, I was even more mentally checked out. I didn't like his death. One could assume that Gi-hoon dying, I guess people would kind of take it in a way as like, oh, it's the games. nobody would kind of like, survive these games was kind of like realistic in a way. But at the same time, I kind of wanted Ji-hoon at the end with kind of like how you were saying, Eric. Instead of the frontman in the car, it was Ji-hoon like looking at Kate and just like, oh, like I kind of took down these games, but like, oh, these games are happening somewhere else, and like in LA, wherever the case might be in the United States. I know, Adam, you said that you didn't like the action part of season 2 finale. So if they kind of had the action part component in the season 3 finale, I kind of would have liked that more. Like they took down the games. I would appreciate if the detective came and kind of helped take down the whole island, took out the VIPs, all that. And like you were saying, real time, it kind of felt like a season 2A, season 2B. They shouldn't have split it. It should have just been one whole season. Should have just given all the episodes at once. But yeah, it's just, I think there were more things that I didn't like about season 3 than I did like. If that makes sense. So
when you like listen to us talk, all of us talk about season 1, season 2, season 2B, it's funny because we have so much positive things to say about the first one and then the second part. And we really didn't say much negative things about anything other than this last season. And I 100% agree with Adam because I think I was okay with everything that was happening up until like the last 20 minutes of the season finale.
Right.
I understood that a lot of the main characters that we were so invested in were going to probably die. But the issue is that there was building up so much around everything that you would just assume that you were going to get that some type of payoff. They were, you had the detective. He finally found out what was going on. You had, I forgot her name. The girl that killed our boy Choi.
Oh, Bunny. We call her Bunny, but
I forgot her name. But she was taking people down inside of the building, and no one even knew what was happening. Mm-hmm. So, and then you see the VIPs, and they're watching these games, and so it's almost like they were setting something up for they set up alley-oop and didn't do anything with it because you were expecting, okay, these VIPs are going to get taken down. Okay, the brothers are going to meet. They were building up this brotherly like fight that maybe was going to happen. Mm-hmm. And so again, that last 20 minutes kind of killed all of that off because it just nothing happened the way that you wanted it to happen. And I know that sometimes shows are not supposed to give you that perfect ending, but you almost got really nothing. You didn't get anything. You didn't gain anything. And then the detective at the end, he gets in his house and he sees money and a baby. And he's like, I don't want this shit. I never wanted to begin with. Like, I wanted to take you down. I wanted to, what am I supposed to do with this baby and money now? I didn't want the money and I didn't want this baby. So yeah, it's a little frustrating. If you watch our reaction, I literally said that, that ending that the director originally kind of planned for where, the guy's driving and he sees Kate Blanchett and he's like, oh shoot, like this is not just like something that was happening in Korea, this is happening around the world. I think I said at the end of our reaction, I said, that's exactly what I wish would have happened.
You said that.
And it's funny because I'm just now learning that was actually
the original ending,
the original plan.
There were some things like I just feel like they just never revisited, or they just stuff that they just never got back to, and like some unsolved mysteries. Like, for example, we saw the old man in that one room from season 1. Like, they didn't really talk about that.
That like wax statue or something.
It was like a shrine or whatever. I guess the audience has to like make their own interpretation on that.
They could have just not even put that in.
Yeah. And so, and the detective, I think Abby, you were saying like they worked him up so much in season 1, and then in season 2 and season 3, he was distracted and he just couldn't find the island. And then when he finally found the island, he went in, he said a couple words to his brother. He said, why? And then the brother or the frontman didn't even say anything. He went down.
he turned around and just walked away.
Right. And then he swam out because the island was going to explode. And then I just wish we got a conversation between the detective and his brother, because also in season 2 they talked about at like the funeral. I think it was like a funeral with the detective and his mom, and they were talking about the front man. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. And they just never revisited that. And I just wish we got a conversation, like I said. And
yeah, for me, it was the last part was the season was a 5 out of 10 for me. Had they just at least killed the VIPs, I would have given it a 7. Give me something to enjoy at the end. You didn't give me just a little something to enjoy.
Right.
Yeah. I think a lot of the rebuttal to a lot of that, people would probably say is that, it's supposed to thematically obviously mirror real life. It's supposed to mirror that the wealthy don't get punished, like things don't have a happy ending and so on and so on. And that's what Abby was alluding to, that, it's realistic, but it doesn't always make for, satisfying storytelling. You can't keep things, adhering to like a strict thematic point at the cost of like the characters and like the sort of kinetic tissue that you need to have things come together. I think one of the things we're talking about here is how things didn't really click by the end. Like the different storylines that we have didn't converge into like sort of one cohesive vision. One of the frustrations that I have with Gi-hoon's death is the fact that he died not knowing that the island blew up 5 minutes later, like that the games did kind of end in some way, that he did help in some regard. He died without even that knowledge. I kind of wish he could have like been fading away as he saw everything come down or something. Like it's a very frustrating thing just to drive home. I think a thematic thing of like, this, there's no satisfaction like real life endeavors, like capitalism really sucks, which it's a fair thing to make, but I think there's more satisfying ways to like at least tie that up for us. And yeah, we've talked a lot about our frustrations with it. I have vicariously lived through those frustrations with you guys and some other channels as well. People have a lot to say on it, good and bad. I would be interested to hear from the group here through your comments. I know, Adam, you're just posting your finale very soon or recently, but everyone who has, what has been the response from the comments and from the online discourse that you've seen in your community towards the conclusion of the series?
I'll jump in and say,
sure.
I'm very surprised with, not that it matters to us because we just enjoy reacting in general, but like that, the finale has the least amount of views, I think, from all of the episodes that we watched.
Other reactors too.
And I think it's like, I think a lot of people, like we have said, they've watched the show and they weren't interested in what happened. And so they're not interested in watching someone else react to something that happened in that show.
Exactly.
So it's kind of crazy in terms of just that as a whole.
Yeah. And to answer your question, I think the comments were very like split. Some people liked it and just thought about the overall message, and some people just really hated it and they wish that Gi-hoon survived. And I think a good like take home message from the games is like the overall message is that no matter how much money you have, money is the root of all evil. And all the stuff that they went through from the games, like you're never going to be happy. And we saw that exactly with Gi-hoon in the beginning of season 2.
Could I just add on that I was shocked in my comments to the final episode, the amount of comments that I got of people defending player 333 and saying that I just didn't understand him and that I was almost like a bad person for judging him so hard. And I was just like, are these people actually for real? Like, did we watch the same finale? I was actually shocked because it wasn't just like one or two. Like, there's quite a few, and I was like, okay.
Yeah,
I think there are layers to it. I think people want to give him some credence because, like, I think in the first half of that final game that he was maybe like on the level of trying to help Gi-hoon, and then by the end he like flipped once he realized that his life is actually at stake. So yeah, I think that's the layer everyone wants to sort of convey. But again, like that's a buildup of like several elements of him being a bad person. Like I thought, I was kind of like no go on him, like no redemptive arc or whatever when he killed Hyunju. Like that when that was it, I was like, he's done to me. Like there's nothing he can do to like can redeem me. I don't even care if he makes or does or whatever. You know, the best he can do is sacrifice himself for the baby. That was the only thing I was hoping for.
Right, and then maybe that would have been a good ending as well. If he actually, maybe if Gyun jumps off and then maybe 333 has that guilt and jumps off and leaves the baby instead.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's some type of redemption for his character at that point. But
And side note, there was one thing that Jeff and I talked about. I think in the episode 5 or 6 reaction, one of those, in the bathroom where the crypto guy was fighting Thanos.
Mm-hmm.
Had Thanos killed the crypto guy at that point, we probably would have gotten a whole different ending.
yeah, it's crazy.
I feel like our conversation between all of us today has been a good representation of what people, the viewership, and mostly everyone in general feels about season 3. I mean, I think it's easy to say that it's probably everyone's least favorite season. Yeah, but there's a lot of mixed views. I know these guys read the comments more than I do, so they would probably know better what the comments say than I. But yeah, I feel like with such a divisive, like we've used that word multiple times today, divisive season, you're going to always have both ends of the spectrum. Like people, because we obviously, I think, shared a lot of these frustrations that we're all sharing today in our finale when we because we kind of recapped the whole season then. But there's always going to be people that, support what we say and like echo our thoughts. A lot of people like to agree, but then there's always people that are like, you guys are dumb. Like, what are you talking about? These takes are horrible. I mean, that's just what comes with reactions and just putting yourself on the internet in general. You're going to get a lot of disagreements and people attacking your takes, especially when there's such strong opinions. But yeah, there was definitely a lot of people that disagreed with a lot of the things we said today and supported characters that we didn't. And that's fine. I mean, it's a show. You can, have your own opinion. There's not one right answer. There's not a right way to watch it. So just take everything with a grain of salt. So, but some of them I'm like, how are you supporting this character? Like I don't know. I mean, I'm always rooting for the good guy in most things at least. So, but yeah, it wasn't a perfect season by any means, but yeah, the comments definitely, there was a lot of opinions in there, and it was fun to read though. It was fun.
I think for the most part, we were all kind of on the same page in the comments, but the one that sticks out to me the most, and it was probably because it was about me, was I was very critical of Daeho whenever he basically did a 180 in that, third season. And a lot of people were not happy that I kind of jumped ship from his character. I did not like Daeho at all in season 3. I just thought he was so different, and they just kind of ruined his character. And I just remember reading the comments after we posted that episode, and a lot of people were still like super defending him, and they still loved him and everything. And I mean, that's just a perfect example of how different people, watch television.
Didn't they like kind of do him dirty with the subtitled translation though?
Yeah, a lot of people pointed that out, that like the US the Netflix translation for like that episode was wrong apparently, and that he said something else, not like, I forget exactly what the quote was, but it was something about how he lied about being in the military. It just wasn't translated the right way.
Apparently he went to the military, but he was like a social worker or something like that. So he wasn't actually trained to fight, but like he was there. So it was like a half lie.
Yeah. And I mean, Rob, I'm curious, like, did that, your frustration with him, did that start because of his decision to not go back in season 2, like with the ammo, or was that because of the fallout after that?
I was pretty disappointed in him whenever he didn't go get the ammo, because like, I mean, I understood, because at that time you're under the assumption of like, oh, he's a Marine, he probably suffers from PTSD. Like, this is a very traumatic moment that he may have been in something like this before, and it's bringing back old memories and stuff, and like I can understand that. But then like to see Hyunju, who is also an active like military person, she's John Wicking everybody, and then like she is tough enough to run back all the way back to the room or whatever and go get the ammo, but like he was too scared. So like I was pretty disappointed in him there, but then to find out that like he wasn't even like in combat, so like that PTSD really isn't there. He still was probably scared and anxious, but like that was really I was giving him the benefit of the doubt because of that. And when I found out that he just kind of lied about that and he's got the whole tattoo and everything, I was just like, dude, this guy, I don't know. And then how quick he was ready to kill Gi-hoon too. I know Gi-hoon was out to kill him, but like he felt so different from who he was in season 2. And like him and Hyunju were like some of my favorite. Like Hyunju obviously was my favorite, but Daeho was not too far behind in season 2. He was really cool. I liked him a lot, and I just thought that he was kind of ruined in season 3.
Yeah, I liked him a lot as well, and I was really happy to have him as part of like the core group, you know, with Gi-hoon and the others. Yeah, I don't blame him as much, you know, for obviously getting scared. And what else? I'd probably do the same fucking thing. Like, you know, obviously people shooting around and trying to get ammo, but no, again, like the dynamic between him and Gi-hoon in the hide and seek game, yes, it's just I think my sort of initial source of frustration with season 3, like I mentioned earlier, it feels like almost out of character for both of them. It feels like I don't really buy into the idea that Gi-hoon would be so angry and vindictive about that, that he would blame him solely for like them failing. You know, like if he brought the ammo, then it all would have like played out, you know, they would have won. Like, I don't think so, you know. And there's just a few handful of, you know, character things I feel like they sort of put in place to like, we need to get from A to B. Similarly, with the, I forget their names right now, but like the mother and son, I don't 100% buy that she would kill her son. Like, you know, like to save the baby, like I understand the stakes of what it is like now, but like to just like straight out like stab him in the back, like where he would die. They eventually shot him. That's what killed him. But to that extent that she stabbed him, I thought maybe she could stab him in the arm or the leg or whatever to like, you know, stop him. But like to make that sacrifice, it feels a little bit of a contrivance to like up the stakes and the drama of the story, that she like, you know, to take her that far. So yeah, it's one of those elements that like it feels like the storytelling is like trying to make a little bit of a leap here that I'm not 100%, you know, like buying into. Adam, you know, when I reach out to you to come on today, you preface it by saying like, I don't know, like I wasn't too keen on the finale, so I don't know if I'll be a right fit. I was like, I think that's okay. I think you might fit in more than you think. So you know, again, you haven't your finale reaction is pretty fresh right now, so you haven't had a chance to see the discourse online. But I guess building up to it, what has the discourse been to you, and I guess how do you feel now that you've been able to hear some of these thoughts relayed from us?
Yeah. Oh, actually, I've got a question that I want to pose to everybody else. Something that I was just thinking as we started sort of recording this. At the end of Gi-hoon's life, I guess, is him committing this incredibly selfless act, sacrificing himself for a stranger's baby. When we first meet Gi-hoon in episode 1, he is literally stealing money from his own family so that he can go and do gambling. The question that I want to ask everybody is, at what point did Gi-hoon's moral compass cross from being scumbag to very noble person who's willing to, you know, sacrifice for others? Is there a specific moment? Is it when he won the game? What say you?
I actually, because I saw a recap on that, and with Gi-hoon, it's like, yeah, he's addicted to gambling, but there's like a scene of him where there's like a stray cat, and he stops to like give it some food when he doesn't have any food like himself at home. So I feel like he's always kind of been a good person. He was just addicted to gambling. And we know that he did love his daughter. Obviously, he was a bit of a lousy dad. And I think he's always been a good person. And we see it a little bit. And we see him also like with his relationship with the girl in season 1, whose name I can't remember. Yeah, her. You know, almost like he becomes like this fatherly figure to her as well. And I think he's always like, we've seen that he's always been a good person, but yeah, when you put it that way, when you ask that question, it's like, yeah, he, like, from what we saw in the first episode to last episode, like, yeah, there's actually a big change. Even though we've always known he's a good guy, it's like, yeah, that's actually pretty big.
Yeah. I think the season 1 finale ties in a lot into that. Obviously, losing his mom in conjunction with, like, you know, winning the game and having his life change because of the money, his life change because of the mom, you know, which was his reason for getting the money, is a big part of that.
And Woo as well. Well,
yeah.
Didn't quite, but
yeah,
Woo died anyway.
Right. And also the test that, you know, Ilnam gives him. About, like, you know, what does it mean to be a good person? Like, will someone come help this person on the street? So I think that's sort of, like, you know, shifted his, you know, mind around, like, you know, what does he have to do in his life? What's his sort of, like, you know, moral compass? Like, what's his mission? And then we sort of, you know, I think that's formulated off screen a little bit between season 1 and 2 and the 2 years that he's spending to find the recruiter. So I think some of that formulates a little bit, you know, for us to, like, interpret, you know, once season 2 starts. It's definitely a interesting element for him. Like, it seems like a full character arc. I think again, the sacrifice in theory makes a lot of sense. That he would sacrifice himself for, you know, the sake of, like, the baby. I think the creator says, like, that, again, thematically, that's supposed to represent what he would hope is, like, the ideal message of the show, which is, like, we should be willing to sacrifice ourselves for the sake of, like, the future generation. Like, we should not, you know, like, to grasp at what we can to, like, you know, attain wealth and power, and for our own survival, we should, like, see, you know, at certain points that we need to make the leap to, like, give up, you know, our well-being for the sake of, like, another generation to, like, you know, survive and, like, you know, come into the world with, like, some chance. So again, I like the thesis of it. Again, the connective tissue of, like, how you get there is sort of, like, you know, the issues, you know, I have with, like, you know, getting A to B to Z and so on.
I also think the Marbles episode and Ilnam getting killed probably took a big chunk out of Gi-hun's, you know, his spirit and everything like that, and would have really humbled him quite a lot.
Yeah, I think it's funny that we mentioned, you know, that, again, player 001 ends up being, like, someone involved in the game and trying him. Like, what are the odds? You know, like, I'm sure he's thinking, like, what are the odds that this would happen to me twice? that would befriend someone in the game and they would end up being the person in charge.
And also, let me just quickly share as well. When you have the scene where Gi-hun is face to face with Frontman at the end of Series 3, and Frontman takes his mask off, and, you know, you can see who it is. And Gi-hun has this, you know, rage build up in him because it's the person that he was in the game with him very recently and everything like that. I completely had no reaction to that whatsoever because I'd entirely forgotten about the storyline of Frontman being in the game, because we didn't see this reveal until the second last episode of Series 3, where not only have we gone through 8 episodes of storyline, but 6 months of waiting since that was even remotely relevant as well. So just another to point out that gap between the 2 seasons really, really disrupted my ability to just follow that storyline as well. And yeah, I had no reaction to him looking at Frontman. I was like, okay, well, he knows what his face looks like now. All right, moving on.
Yeah.
I really liked the scene with the Frontman and Gi-hun. Because I feel like the Frontman kind of saw Gi-hun as, like, his younger self, or like we're one and the same, or the same, like, maybe saw the good in him, and the offer of, like, here's this knife, like, kill everyone in their sleep tonight. And then we get the flashback of that's exactly what Ilnam offered the Frontman when he was in the games. So he was probably like, okay, me and Gi-hun I think we're the same, so he's going to do what I did to win this game, be selfish. But seeing Gi-hun restrain himself, I feel like was a lot of, like, growth and character development, because I don't know. I feel like if I was in the game, I don't know if I would have made the same decision, especially since we talked about how all of those remaining characters, like the first one he went up to, I think, was the old man. He was just insufferable. So, like, I can't say if I was in that life or death situation, I wouldn't have done that. But that is such a layup. Like, win the game. It's like, all right. But yeah, I just thought that was cool how he kind of was like, no, I'm not you. We're not the same. And that was one of my favorite scenes from the final season, I think, actually.
Yeah. The Again, a little bit of like, the front man's backstory was interesting. It's funny because I kind of thought as season 2 was ending, I was so sure at some point they would like do a prequel series about his games, and like we would see that, but I don't think that's in the card now that we see sort of that element of it. I think they have, like they wouldn't show us that if they were going to show us the whole season of that, just to keep the series going in some regard, maybe some from other showrunner. But it's a lot to say about the final season, but I think, as Rob and some of the others said, like the show in general is such a unique experience. I think it's a really fun experience. I have still a fun time rewatching it through everyone's reactions. I watched several other reactions as well to it. It's the first go through it is a lot of fun to see everyone's reactions to the games. Try to figure out how they go, get invested in people, and yes, the final half of season 3, when things start to be taken away, is where some of the frustration comes in. And I, again, have still finished everyone's reactions just to sort of like morbidly, peek at someone's, insight to like how they feel about it, to sort of like give it like almost like a study of like, what people are, saying about it. I kind of want to, wrap up here with everyone's more ideal takes on the series. Just going over, I'll go one by one. Can everyone tell me their favorite game in the series and their favorite character overall? So I'll start with Jeff and Tobz, if you guys can tell us that.
Oh man, are you saying which is your favorite character? Are we talking about the last season, or are we talking about the whole season 1, 2, and 3?
I guess we'll say season 1, who's first favorite character, season 2 and 3, who are your favorite character?
Okay,
so both. Yeah,
I might need time.
For me, it's a tie between the hide and seek game and the little carousel game? Is that what it was called?
Oh yeah, carousel.
Yeah,
Mingle.
Yeah.
Mingle. Yeah.
Those were my 2 games, just because of how chaotic they were.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the like more strategic games, I think they're just they're kind of simple and they kind of stress you out. But I kind of enjoy the havoc that the other games kind of caused.
Mm-hmm.
So those 2 were my favorite games. And then in terms of my favorite character, man, I don't know. It probably is 333. No, I don't know. I guess it has to fall on Kyun. At the end of the day, just it's kind of hard not to root for him after everything that he did. He goes back in the game, and like I would even think twice to not go back there ever. So yeah, that's for me.
Okay, I think my favorite game was, I forgot what it's called, but it's where you lick the what is it? The cookie thing.
The cookie game.
Yeah.
In season 1, when you had
the honeycomb.
Yeah, I think it was that. Yeah. Where they had to get the shapes, the umbrella, the triangle. I think that was my favorite game because of how intense it was. Because literally, if you mess up just in the slightest, it's over. So,
you guys had a great reaction to the fake out reveal of the triangle in season 2.
Oh yes, yeah. The fake out.
Yeah.
So that was my favorite game, and I think my favorite character is probably Thanos. He was just all over the place. He was funny. He was entertaining. I was very upset when he died
By a fork.
Literally by a fork. And then when we saw him at the end, was it the finale?
Yeah.
Mhm.
The finale. I was really excited to see him again.
Yeah. It kind of would have been fun to see him last until the final game. I think he would have been a really great wild card for that.
Yeah. Had he killed the guy, he might have been.
Yeah. Abby, how about you? Getting into seasons 1, 2, and 3, your favorite games and your favorite characters.
I think my favorite game is also the Mingle one.
Mhm.
Just because even though all the games are brutal, as an introvert, when they explain the rules of that game, it's like that is literally my worst nightmare. Like, I wouldn't have lasted that long until that game anyway, but like that would be the game that would like definitely kill me.
Yeah.
And my favorite character was actually Daeho up until season 3, and I was like, okay, completely different character now, but he was my favorite character, and after what they did to him, I would say it has to be player 120.
Yeah, Hyunju was my favorite as well. Like, definitely, I think among the whole series, I just really fell in love with her arc right away once we got to like her leading the pack in the 6-legged race. That was I think for me, when I really latched onto the series, again, to me, I think that's like the highlight of the series. That's like the high point of the series for the characters, because that's like just a really, sort of beautiful moment. Everyone's cheering everyone on, and there's just like this like levity to it, despite people being killed if they don't pass. But yes, even seeing the front man, get hyped and like,
Yes. That clever him and Gi-hoon, and they're like, yeah, it's so good.
It's such like a great meme now. The
Yeah.
reaction GIF everyone has. Adam, how about you? Getting into your favorites of the series.
While I was watching it in series 1, it was definitely Il-nam. I just loved that character so much. I was so invested, and I got sucked into his bullshit pretty bad. And then the betrayal just made it all more fun as well. So definitely Il-nam was my favorite character in the first series. My favorite game, I mean, the glass bridge was pretty intense, and I didn't mind the jump rope one as well. Just especially with the added element of 222 having the busted ankle. And if somebody was going to carry her, they would then have to be jumping with her weight over and over. Like, for what was going on with that character, I thought that game was just absolutely brutal. And my favorite character from season 2, say it with me, 006.
Yeah. Real time, your guys, to close it out, again, all three of you, what were some of your favorite games and characters for the series?
I would have to say Red Light, Green Light was my favorite game. I mean, it started off the show, it reeled me in, and then we got to even see it 2 times. So I got double the fun with that game. And I also would have to say Thanos was my favorite character. I mean, he gave me so much energy. I was just so pumped when I was watching him. But I do want to shout out the recruiter, that episode with him. It was kind of like just focused on him. I thought he was
the Russian roulette.
Yeah, I thought he was so cool. I don't think that episode gets enough respect. I think it was a really good one. And yeah, I just wanted to shout him out. He was awesome.
Yeah, he was hardcore.
My favorite game was actually the relay race, kind of for reasons that you just said, Eric, is like all these games are so, I don't know, just violent, and there's so much, everyone's scared and anxious, but like those few moments in that game where everyone is just cheering for each other, it's just like, it felt like a different show for a sec. Like we talked about the reaction of the front man and Gi-hoon when they're playing together, like celebrating whoever it was that crossed the finish line first, but it felt like he like kind of forgot this is like what he was doing for a second. Like he's running the games right now. He was like enjoying it, like he was actually for real playing it. Yeah, that was my favorite game, I think. But as far as characters, I mean, I like Gi-hoon a lot. I like the growth he had. It's I always like rooting for the main guy. He was a troubled man. I feel like talking about him, like what Adam brought up earlier about like when did he go from like a bad guy to a good guy. I don't know. I feel like it's one of those situational things where like sometimes when you're down on your luck, you'll do some stuff you're not proud of. And I feel like it's a lot easier to be a really good person when you have a lot more like security. You don't have to steal money from your mom because you don't have any and you have this crippling addiction. The ending, as much as I didn't love that he went out, it makes sense, I think. And him referencing like, we're not horses, I believe he said something like that. And the show starts with him betting on horse racing. I thought it was a pretty full circle moment. But I also do want to shout out Ali. I loved him. He was too pure for the games in season 1. Got done so wrong by Tambul. And I, of course, liked Hyunju in season 2 and 3. She was just great. Badass character. Love that actor. So yeah, those are a few of the characters that I liked.
Yeah, my favorite game, honorable mention to Red Light, Green Light, like Zuff said. I just think that game was so iconic. Definitely like one of the biggest like oh shit moments in the entire show was the first time they played that, for sure. But my favorite game is Mingle, the one with all the doors.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That was definitely my favorite game. It was just like an actual nightmare episode. Like every time they have to go through the doors, like just the flashing lights and everyone bumping into each other, and you don't know who's with who. Like I was seriously like, I had no idea who was going to make it through that game. I had no clue. I thought anybody could die. And it's kind of funny, but the thing that I always think of first when I think of that game is just Thanos and the dee 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 dee, and they're just dancing to it. Like everyone's dying around them, and they're just having a good time because they're on drugs and just going crazy.
And then like they realized the one scene, there's too many people in the room. I think it was the front man.
Oh yeah,
Like killed the dude.
killed him
It's like, what the hell?
right in front of Gi-hoon's friend, and then that's what
Yeah.
causes him to be like, I don't know about this guy. I don't know. But that's definitely my favorite game. I really liked that one. Just so scary, and so many people got wiped out in such awful ways. But my favorite character, season 1, I'd have to say Sebyuk. I thought she was awesome. I really liked her storyline with her little brother and how, you know, her motivation was to take care of him and to reunite her family. I thought that was sweet, and I was devastated whenever she died. So shout out to Sebyuk, season 1. But then season 2 and 3, I mean, it's hands down Hyunju. I just thought that she was by far the best character, the most fleshed out, so much depth and layers to her character. As crushed as I was to see her go, I feel like the way she died is such a perfect example of the kind of person she was. She literally made it to the end and could have saved herself, but she is too pure and too good to leave her friends behind, and she turned back to save them, and it got her killed. So yeah, she's definitely my favorite character. Probably just overall throughout the whole show. I do like Gi-hoon. I think he's a good protagonist, good main character, but I often do tend to get attached to side characters or supporting characters more often. So that's who I would go with personally.
The most underrated character, in my opinion, now looking back, probably my favorite character, I don't even know his name, is the guy who was working with the detective.
Oh,
Yeah.
The guy who ultimately went to jail at the end.
yeah.
He's in
MVP.
other K-dramas that we've seen too, and that actor's
Yes.
Yeah.
It was so awesome seeing, well, not awesome, but he watched his boss die in that crazy gun scene.
Mhm.
And then on, it's like he was like the most important person.
Mhm.
He like kept everyone in check. He kept everyone in line. He saw all the signs. He was questioning everything. He was like, fuck that, I'm not going on that boat.
Yeah. He was loyal
like,
to the end.
He was loyal all the way up until the end.
Yeah, he could have easily
And-
just been like, I'm not doing this anymore. And
Right.
Just
He knew where the money was. He could have easily just gone to go get the money
And stole it
and
and-
stole it and just went on with his life.
Yeah.
But I mean, everything that he did, I just loved. Every time he was on the screen, I loved what he was doing. He was calling everybody out. He was underrated. My favorite character.
Yeah, if you think about it, it's kind of he's the one that took down the game, the island, because he's the one that figured out that the captain was the spy and that he made the call to save them from being killed on the ship and so on.
Yeah,
So like
he was-
if he didn't do what he did, like they never would have stopped the island, blew up the island.
He in that police station. I don't know how he worked his way into finally getting his phone, but and just starts running down the hallway
Siri.
with handcuffs, and he's like, he's the killer. Get off the boat. Like, and he did all that, obviously knowing I'm going to jail after this for sure.
Yeah, the MVP for sure. As we mentioned, as I mentioned, Hyunju is my favorite. I really like Mingle. I think that was one of my favorites as well. Again, for the chaos that it causes with everyone, the social anxiety of trying to like find people to pair up with in the matter of seconds. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for being here. It's great to finish the series with all of you with your respective reactions, and great to have you here to talk about our thoughts today. A lot to dissect, with the show. Some good, some bad. Like I said, the experience of going through the series is really special, I think, and it's really fun to kind of get through that. The ending, your mileage may vary, with how you want to, take what they give us. Again, I think the themes are relevant and topical and have weight to them, but the execution is what really makes it or breaks it for you. So I was happy to have you here today to sort of give us your thoughts on how that shaped out for you. We have lots of these episodes coming up over the next few months. Obviously this is a tease towards the big one this year, Stranger Things, coming up in a few months to end out the final season for that as well. So we'll have to see what Netflix does once those two shows are done for them. But guys, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. We'll have links to everyone's channels, descriptions, everywhere below. Adam, Abby, Rob, Zuff, Bryce, Jeff, Tobz, guys, it's been a blast talking Squid Game with you guys. And please, everyone, follow each other, like each other's stuff. If you're watching this, please subscribe to these great people. See their stuff if you're a K-drama fan. Obviously, you know where to go. You know where to find them. We'll wrap up here, and we'll catch everyone on the next episode.